Welcome back. It is always a good day. When I wake up, I give thanks, and then I know that it is my privilege to step out in my little studio in San Diego, California, and speak to intriguing human beings. The guest I have coming on today is a very special man, and I'm welcoming him back. He came on after he released his wonderful book about a year ago, and now he has a brand new song, which he has given me the permission to be able to play. So at the end of the show today, don't go anywhere. You're going to be really stoked to hear a brand new song from my guest, Jim McCarty. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Boy, oh boy, the podcast is really starting to take off, which is really fun for me. So as I've said in the past, the only way that a podcast can and does grow is by downloads, shares, tell your family and friends. Jim's going to tell everybody, hey, I was on the next room. That's the way that this will grow and reach a greater audience. And it's really all about helping people with their grief, helping people with understanding about how hospice works, about green burial practices, about afterlife, if that is your jam, which it's certainly mine. So it's really just really fun. So help me help the show grow and reach more people. The countries that are most prevalent, of course, the United States, Canada right on the US heels. The UK is coming on strong. Australia has been there from the very beginning. Let's see, I've got Ireland, New Zealand, thank you. Israel, brand new. Just had some downloads out of Israel. Also Norway and Guatemala. Okay, that's enough business. My guest, this is so fun for me. I was allowed to play Jim's music back in the day when he was the drummer for the Yardbirds, and still is, in some fashion. English musician, best known, of course, as drummer for the Yardbirds and Renaissance. Also, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. I mean, come on. Talk about just incredible. Founding member of the Yardbirds. New song called Breath of the Wind, which I said we will play at the end of the show. And he has a great book. If you haven't bought it yet, do yourself a favor. It is an ode to his lovely wife, who he was helping through her transition as she left here and went into the next room. And that book is called She Walks in Beauty. And of course, I'll put all the links so you don't have to go Googling. Welcome back to the show, Jim McCarty.
Thank you very much, Jane. I'm very happy to be with you again.
It's very so nice. Good. It's so cool that I can see you now. I think the last time we did the show, I'm not sure if we were on video or not. I think we may have been, but it seems like we have a better connection. So talk to me right off the bat. My goodness, you're making music. Talk to me about this song, this brand new song that I'm going to feature on the show today.
Well, it goes back a couple of years because I wrote the book, She Walks in Beauty, as you said. And I think it was before, no, I think it was after the book, or about the same time. I actually got a session with Suzanne Giesemann, the American medium, and she's in the book quite a lot. Because I'd studied mediumship when I lost my wife like 3 years ago. And of course, getting in to see Suzanne one-to-one, it takes a while, but I managed to, through a friend, I managed to wangle in quicker than, jump the queue, I guess. So I was very lucky. And Suzanne picked up my wife Lizzie, of course, and she said, "Oh, she's here," and she waited patiently for my parents to go, because my parents came up as well. And she said she's very patient, but she tells me you've written a song for her. Is that right? And I said, "Well, yes, I suppose I have. Yeah, yes, I have." And she said, I want to hear it, because Suzanne's quite a strong personality. "Oh, I want to hear that. Send me the song, straight away. I want to have a listen to that." So I sent her it, and she loved it, of course. And it was just a very simple demo song of me singing with a guitar. That was all it was. And I said, well, don't get too excited. It's only a very rough. And she said, oh no, but the lyrics and everything are lovely, and it's really nice. I get what you're talking about. I get it totally. And so I thought, well, I'll do something with it. That's nice that she likes it, and other people liked it. So I sent it off to a guy called Hugh Syme, who's an arranger who works in the US. He was Canadian, and he worked on my last solo album, Walking in the Wildland, a few years ago. And he's actually more famous for doing record covers, for designing record covers for Rush and Aerosmith and different people. And he's won awards for his record covers, but not many people know he's a musician. But he did some lovely work with me before, and so he said, "Oh, I've got this song, and it's a lovely song, and I love it, and I'll get to work on it when I get my studio set up." So I was looking before the show, and I sent it to him in, actually it was November 2020. November 2020. And I got it back in March of this year.
Wow.
Which is amazing, isn't it? So it took over 2 years, and I thought, oh, he must have given up on it. But then it came back, and I thought, oh, what an amazing job he's done. So he did the whole thing, and so I got Terry Brown in Toronto to mix it, who I worked with before, producer. And he mixed it, and there it was. And then suddenly Demon Records, my label, said, oh, we can put this out as a download single. So I was very pleased. I'd never done a solo single before, so I was pleased.
Yeah, that's so cool. What a great story too. I mean, Susanna's really connected, as everyone I've had her on this show. Quite a story with Suzanne Giesman. Jim, did you, prior to Lizzie crossing over, did you believe in the afterlife, or was this something you were open to? Have you always been vibey like that? Or is it something that came on after your wife transitioned?
Well, I believed in it, yes, but I wasn't face to face with it. It wasn't really part of my life. I studied all those sort of things because I went through a sort of a Buddhist time when I was following a Buddhist guru, and Lizzie and I both went on pilgrimages to India and all that. So we studied death in Buddhism and did various practices, but it wasn't really in my face, so to speak, when she died, which was suddenly, oh my God, this is something else. But it was very rewarding because although it was very, very painful, I sort of did quite a lot of work. I studied the near-death experiences, and I got to know Suzanne, and I did some courses with her, and I learned various basic steps to communicate, which were quite simple, really. And Lizzie and I were very close anyway, so it wasn't too difficult. And then my life just changed totally. This was something. This was a big part of my life all of a sudden that wasn't there before.
Yeah, and you went from the deep pool of grief to more of kind of an understanding, to where, okay, I'm still connected to Lizzie, although in a very different fashion. I love what you said about how she was patient, because your parents, of course, they'd been waiting probably quite patiently to come through and tell their son or whatever they needed to express to you, and the love that they wanted to share. And I just love that you can almost like visually see Lizzie just patiently letting your mom and dad have their word. And then she came in. So she's the one that told Suzanne that you had written a song for her. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes,
Wow.
that's right.
Wow. And here it is. You submit this to your buddy who's going to mix it. And then you didn't pester him at all along the way. You just blessed it and let it go.
Yeah, that's right. Just I think I might have sent him a couple of, oh, how are you doing? You know, happy New Year, or how's it going?
Right.
But he was always very nice, and he seems to have a nice connection with me, you know, musically.
Yeah.
Though I don't know him really well, but he's a very soulful musician,
I
let's
love
say.
that. Yeah. Well, you're just a lovely human being. And, I can hear it the way that your sense of humor and life brings you a lot of joy. It bubbles out of you, Jim. So I'm just so
Thank you.
happy. See, there it is. I'm so happy that you're giving me the permission to play the song today. And it's really going to be fun for you because here's this song that you wrote after your wife transitioned, and now it's been produced, and it's this lovely song, and it's an ode to her, and it's going to be on the airwaves. I would imagine not just
Yes.
here, but everywhere. I would imagine you're going to get a lot of airplay with this song.
Yes, I hope so. But it's like a story that takes time. You know, and I had to be very patient about it. And but it all fell into place. It's quite a good lesson, really, because I couldn't really push it. You know, and I had to wait for him and wait for the record, but it all came together at the right time. That was the nice thing.
Great lesson for life about not trying to push that boulder uphill, but truly just being in that space of allowing, what is supposed to show up will show up when it shows up instead of trying to make it happen. It seems like whenever I try to force things, they're not good. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, well, that's the way with the communication, with the mediumship. You have to allow it and not try and get somewhere. Just to let it happen. You know, it's a balance, really. Well, you probably know that.
yeah, in a certain sense, absolutely. Talk to me about the lyrics. Did they come to you? How do you write a song, Jim McCarty? I would like to know.
I suppose I went into the zone, and it's very simple. You know, she's free of care. You know, because she hasn't got the cancer anymore, and she's everywhere. You know, it was like she was everywhere.
Mm.
You know, you couldn't you couldn't put a finger on where she was. And the lyrics were very easy, and I think they all came at once. You know, they were all very spontaneous, very quick, just out of the blue. And I don't know. It's about getting in that zone, and suddenly you're there, and it all comes out.
Somewhat like a download.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a
Mhm.
download. But
Spiritual download.
she could have written the lyrics for all I know. You know, we
I'm
don't
fairly
know.
certain she did. She's probably like, all right, honey, this is what I would like you to say about me. Oh, that's so
Yes.
good. Okay, so let's talk about your communication with Lizzie now and if you have it and how it manifests, and is it a daily occurrence? What do you do to connect with your beautiful wife now?
Well, it's not. I was thinking about it before the show. It's not as what's the word, dramatic as it was. There's not so many dramatic things like her telling me, "Oh, go and watch the TV," and I go up and watch the football match, and the fans are singing "You Never Walk Alone," you know, things like that don't happen so much. But I get the feeling that she's actually much closer, and she doesn't need to be so dramatic because I know she's there, you know.
Mm.
So she doesn't have to, you know, shock me into her being there, because I realize that she is there now. So and it's very close. But I still do like a daily thing, and I ask her, "Oh, tell me something I'm going to see, some sort of evidence, or tell me something," and it's fun, you know. It's like a bit like a game, you know. I say, "Well, what am I going to see today?"
Mm.
And then I one thing I got a couple of weeks ago was sheep. She said, "Oh, sheep." I've got sheep in my mind, and I didn't see any through the day, but in the evening I looked. I think I was looking at Facebook or something, and I saw a picture of a whole load of sheep wearing COVID masks. And I thought, oh, this is, you know, it's quite political. This is like this is Lizzie on a bit of a deeper level.
Mm.
You know, she was talking about all the sheep wearing the masks.
Interesting. Very
Which was
cool.
interesting.
And I'm sure she gave you a little laugh as well.
Yeah, and they're always funny things.
I love
She
that.
always does funny things like flashes the light on and off, or you know, plays with the kitchen clock and things like that, or the clock on the oven.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely love what you just said. And I think that bears repeating that she doesn't really need to pull any party tricks or be dramatic anymore because she knows and you know that she is everywhere. She is there. So she doesn't have to really like, you know, tap you on the head with a stick to get your
Yes,
attention because you're already there. You've already met her at that space. Uh,
yes,
that's beautiful. And I love the way that you articulated that. And I think it's really important for people to understand because so many people, when they're mired in their deep grief, are like, I can't see him. I can't feel him. I can't hear them. I don't dream about them. And they get so heavy that they almost put this weighted
yes,
cloak. And so
yes,
they're unable to reach their loved ones. But then when you lighten up a little bit and you know, I always say when you receive, you need to believe. Like when you see that sign, you have to, you know, and do a little shout out, you know. That's beautiful.
yes,
I love it.
yes.
Well,
And
tell me,
I
are
sort of
you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go on.
I
Tell me
was
a
just,
bit about.
I was going to ask about, all right, so you've got the book is out, She Walks in Beauty, which I loved very much. And just a really beautiful, well-written book. And you've got your brand new song that's coming out. What is Jim up to these days? What are you doing next? Because you seem like you have not slowed down one lick.
Well, I don't know about that. I've got a little group that plays around here, but we don't play much. But we're just playing bluesy covers, you know, and things like that, just for fun. But I'm coming to the States in February, March.
Oh,
So
good.
we're doing another Flower Power cruise. Uh, that I think we go from Puerto Rico to Miami or something, just for a few days, and then we're doing some dates in you know, land dates, so around New York, hopefully. So that's what we're aiming for. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, so the winter I'm not too busy, but I like to write some more songs, of course. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on for the time being.
Yeah, and if it takes 3 years to produce them, so be it.
Well, that's it. I might as well have fun doing it, and there's no pressure, you know. So
No, isn't that lovely? There's no pressure. You're putting your art out. And I feel that that's when art connects anyway, when it's not, I don't know, not pressured. when it's really true, when you're speaking your truth, which is exactly what
Yes,
you're doing. So
yes.
that's really, really beautiful. Boy, this went so fast, and I want to play your song, but let me just recap here for you. Breath of the Wind, it's out right now. You can download it anywhere that you get your favorite downloads. I've already downloaded it. I did it immediately the first day. Well, your publicist had sent it to me, and then I wanted to go ahead and pay for it too, which is really important to pay for
Oh,
art.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Breath of the Wind is available now, and She Walks in Beauty as well. And I'll put those links in the show page. Jim, is there anything that you would like to share with me that perhaps I haven't touched on yet today?
I think you're pretty good actually. You've got it all worked out really nicely, Jay. It's a lovely show. But I think that's the key that we came to in that discussion, that just allowing these things to happen. And it's the same with the creativity, isn't it? You allow it to happen in its own time, and there's no pressure, or and allow yourself to feel your loved ones, or to hear what they're going to say. I think that's the way. That's very important.
Mm, beautiful words. My guest, Jim McCarty. He is Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, of course, as a founding member of the Yardbirds. You still drumming, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm
Of
still drumming,
of
still
course.
playing.
I bet. Jim, I have to tell you, it was always like one of those, when I was a kid, I would make lists of things that I wanted to be. Author was one, broadcaster or movie star, and one of the ones that was always on my list was a drummer. And the funniest thing, a couple times in my life, I have been around, like I was in Mexico with some girlfriends and I got pulled up on stage and I played the bongos. I don't know how to play them, but I did. I was one with those bongos. And then another time I was in San Diego at a big street festival downtown, and Terrence Simeon, pulled me up on stage and put a washboard on me and gave me a couple spoons, and I played the washboard. So, so I guess I did manifest my dream, not like you did. I'm not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but there's something, I just love rhythm, and
Yes.
the drums are just, man, I just love everything about them. I could listen to a drummer all day long. So,
And you
so
can
it's,
make a lot of noise as well.
yeah, yeah, you can make a lot of noise, and you keep the band at pace, and it
Yes,
really,
yes.
you are the rhythm behind the band. Um, so wonderful. Well, Jim, you are welcome to come back anytime. You just tell your
Thank you, Jay.
publicist that I said, Jane has invited me back because I seriously could chat with you again and again, and we can go
Yeah,
deep. We can go deeper into what you studied with higher consciousness through Buddhism, which I'm always a big fan to hear about different things of that nature. So
great.
thank you for being
Lovely
on the
idea.
show. I appreciate it so much. You've been listening to The Next Room. My guest is Jim McCarty. I am going to play his brand new song, Breath of the Wind. So please just sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I'll talk to you again next week on The Next Room.